Spring winds, dry conditions, New Mexico wildfire season is in full swing. So we invited back Dan Ware from the New Mexico Forestry Division to talk about the fire season and, of course, what we can do to prevent fires. And today, the perfect day really to talk about it.
It's going to be a bad one out there.
Extremely high fire danger out there. What are you guys doing to kind of prepare for today?
Well, really, hopefully everybody got a good night's rest, number one.
Yeah.
And there are still some active fires out there, and so the crews are out overnight, first thing in the morning, trying to make sure that they get the fires that are still smoldering taken care of this morning before those winds really pick up this afternoon and those temperatures come up.
So what is burning right now? What are you guys trying to keep
Well, we have the rabbit ear fire, which is up in the Clayton area, and that's been going since this weekend. We keep getting reignition, or we had a reignition on it, and so that spread the fire out a little bit more, and so we're keeping it at about 90% contained, just because there are still so many little interior islands of fuel that are burning. And with the winds the way they're going to come up today, that could cause it to get going again. So that's our biggest issue right now. So
it's the rabbit ear fire. Right. So what else? Anything else out there
we have the white fire, which is down in the Ruidoso area, which we've had for quite a few days. Right. That's still at about 95% contained. The local resources, the local fire departments down there are handling that one, and just going through it again, mopping up, making sure they've got all those hot spots.
And of course, there are many things that can start fires, and one that was human-caused, the Sevietta fire.
Right.
Not too long ago. Let's talk about that. Can you tell me more about that fire?
Well, the Sevietta fire was started when an individual or individuals were using a metal grinder, taking pieces of steel off a bulldozer. And we saw evidence, our investigators down there saw evidence that several other small fires had actually been started by this. They were successful in extinguishing those fires, but then one got away from them, and that's how the Sevietta, and of course they left the area very quickly, left some of their tools behind, and then the fire got into high gear.
Right. So where was that fire?
That was just between Socorro and Belen in the Bernardo area.
Okay. Wow. So
yeah, it was a very big fire, and some of the video you're showing as everyone can see. We're keeping very busy.
Yeah, investigators say the 2,700 acres that burned in Socorro County, so that's quite a bit of acreage there. That's a pretty large fire.
That is, and we've burned a lot of acreage so far this year in general.
Now, so far this year, how is it compared to years in the past? How many fires have we had so far this year?
Well, not including the handful of fires that we've had yesterday, we're looking at 294 fires total that have burned right around 150,000 acres. Again, that's not including the handful of fires that we had yesterday.
So we're already off to a rough start, and of course the spring winds are continuing. So what are we looking at? What do you guys anticipate for this year? How's it going to compare to years past?
Well, what we've seen a pattern with La Nina years. That's when we always have this uptick of fires in the spring, and so this is kind of following right along lines with La Nina years of the past.
Right.
We've had more fires than this in years past as well. So it's going to be extremely busy and extremely dry through May at least, and then we have to worry about the lightning. Yeah,
and we have the drought conditions across the state, so that's certainly not helping anything right now, and then of course we want to do our part and to help preventing those fires. Now, you said that a grinder, I didn't even know what a grinder was before I heard this, started this fire in Sevietta. Now, how did that happen? What is a grinder?
Well, a grinder is a hand tool. I mean, there are various sizes, but this one in particular was a hand tool that is used to cut into metal, shave metal. It throws a lot of sparks.
Oh yeah, you can see the sparks flying
and so what we've been telling folks is if they're using a grinder in these kind of weather conditions, they need to make sure they're doing it in like this video is being used on concrete. You don't want to use one of these things around a lot of tall grass or weeds. We've had quite a few fires this year start from just tool use like a grinder or a welding torch.
Okay, now what about other tools? Is there anything else that we should be watching out for or being careful of, like catalytic converters on cars? I know that's not a tool, but what else do we need to keep in mind?
Well, so far this year, out of all those fires, 30% of them have been caused by equipment, and that includes welding torches, grinders, vehicles, so vehicle emissions, catalytic converters, if you're hauling a trailer and you're dragging a chain on the highway, that throws sparks into the tall grass. And you can see this graphic here. Debris burning is another big issue, and downed power lines because of all these strong winds are another big issue.
Oh, right. And then, of course, what is out of our control is, of course, lightning and storms.
Right. When in May we'll start to see those buildups over the mountains. The lightning will drop, and that'll give us a lot of fires.
So, what is the largest cause? I see this pie graph.
Right. The largest cause there is equipment use.
Okay.
The second one, right above that, is debris burning, and then we have the blue pie slice, if you will, and those are unknown. Sometimes we get a lot of fires that there's so much activity around it trying to put it out that we know where it started, but because of the activity, feet on the ground, engines going over the ground, the cause can be obscured, and so sometimes we just can't determine exactly what caused that fire.
Okay, now I want to ask you, when we have these high wind days, and then of course we've had the dry conditions, especially dry with being in a La Nina year, there's a red flag warning in effect for the whole state today. What do we need to do? When we hear a red flag warning, what do we need to do to help?
What we tell folks is to be situationally aware. Be sure of what you're doing isn't causing or contributing to what could start a wildfire. So again, equipment use, driving along the side of the road, it's just these common sense things. We need folks to really be cognizant of the fire danger and to make sure they're not doing anything that could cause a fire.
Okay, well, that's really good advice there. And of course, drought conditions not help. Now, how big of an impact does that have on fires? We're in a severe drought across the central part of the state, extreme drought in southern New Mexico. It's always dry here. We're in a desert climate. So when we're in a drought, what significance is that?
Well, we have areas of the state that haven't seen any significant moisture in 150, 170 days. That just continues to dry out the vegetation, and when you add the winds, it just makes the fire danger extreme, very susceptible to fire. It doesn't take much to get it going. So
it just gets going and gets out of control pretty quickly?
Very quickly.
Okay. Well, lots of good advice here. Certainly keep that in mind, especially today with all the winds around. Dan Ware, thank you so much for coming in with this helpful advice. All right, we're going to talk about the auto show now. We have that family 4-pack ticket giveaway, and we're going to be giving that away to this weekend's New Mexico International Auto Show at the Albuquerque Convention Center. Be the first person to send us an email to nmstyle@casa.com and write auto show tickets in the subject line. We'll email you back a confirmation about when and where to get your tickets.